On the phone today from the Iowa Hawkeyes, Ricky Stanzi, former great quarterback, still probably can be a great quarterback. Ricky, welcome to Sports Report Radio.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Ricky, let's talk a little bit about your career. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now and kind of fill in our fans, on here on the Hawkeyes Sports Report Radio station. Tell them a little bit what's up with you these days.
Yeah, so nowadays I'm a movement coach. So I work with athletes and people of all ages, fixing their poor movement behaviors that have led to either chronic pain or injuries during their sport. So, our system of GOTA, the GOTA system, greatest of all time actions by the greatest of all time athletes, is rooted in slow motion. So we use the slow motion video to identify bad movement behavior, and then we go about fixing it so that they can move well throughout their life, and whatever sport it is that they choose, they can excel and they can do that injury-free.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, that's really interesting. Is that something you studied in college, or is this something you kind of picked up, in your professional life after pro football? I mean, how did you get to doing all this?
Yeah, it became a passion for me after school. So school for me was, general business. I was there to study football. And then once I left, in the pros, struggled a little bit with my own movement. So I kind of started to look and try to figure out what was going on. And that was, 2011 was my draft year. So it's been about 10 years now where I was kind of looking and trying to figure it out. And it just over time rolled into a passion. And once I started, a couple books piqued my interest that led me down a few paths that led me to Coach Gilly, who was the guy who founded GOTA, and we started talking, and I finally realized that this is the system that's figured it out, because the slow motion video doesn't lie. And so it kind of was a nice blend for me. I had spent so much time in my life watching video, just being a quarterback, that it was an easy transition for me to start watching movement in slow motion, start diagnosing people's movement patterns and trying to figure out, what is it that leads to injuries, right? What is it that we can find out on the tape that's going to show us what's leading to these injuries and then how we can fix it? So it just slowly became a passion as I started to look more and more into, human movement and trying to figure out my own errors.
Man, that's really cool. So let's jump back to your days with the Iowa Hawkeyes. Let's talk about your experience there. How special is that to have you playing in Iowa? I mean, what did that mean to you? And as a lifelong career, always being an Iowa Hawkeye?
It was very special, very special. We talked about a little bit, I'm from Ohio, so I grew up watching Big Ten football, so I always knew about Iowa. Wasn't real familiar with, the culture and the history of it. And, I had a bunch of MAC offers being an Ohio kid, and so I was kind of leaning towards Miami of Ohio is where I was going to go. And then I started talking with Coach O'Keefe, and, Iowa started to recruit me heavier. And then I finally went down there, met Coach Ferentz, met Coach Doyle, saw the culture and what they were doing, and I had to be a part of it. I just, something about it felt right, trusted my gut, and I'm so glad I did. My best friends that I met there, and Coach Ferentz and what he meant to me, and what that team did for us as young kids, to be a part of that and to have success while we were there. It's memories that we'll always be able to have with us.
Let's talk about Coach a little bit. I mean, how special is that longevity that he's been there at Iowa, and just the stability that he has there at the program? How special is it for him? Because he obviously affected you and I call them kids, but out of high school coming in. But we talked a little bit about that, but what are some of the special things that he taught you, not just on the field, but just about life?
Yeah, the longevity thing's funny, because when I was actually getting recruited, everybody was telling me, don't go to Iowa, because Coach Ferentz was, a name that was circulating in the NFL. And they were saying, he's going to leave, he's going to go to the pros. And he was assuring us, I'm not leaving, this is where I want to be. And the funny thing is, all the other schools that I was recruited by, they all ended up having coaching changes, but the most stable system that's been there for a long time is Coach Ferentz and Coach O'Keefe. For me, he was Coach O'Keefe was my recruiting coordinator and my QB coach and my O coordinator. So he was everything while I was there, and those guys never left. So that was huge for me. Speaking on the wisdom that Coach Ferentz gives to his players, I tell people this often. We would have those, Monday, Tuesday meetings after a game or just during the season. And I learned more in those meetings, listening to Coach Ferentz just kind of talk about going through the ebbs and flows of a season, going through the ups and downs and the adversity. Those were some of the most important meetings that you could sit through as a young man, because you learn about dealing with adversity. You learn about getting knocked down and getting back up. So I always cherish those moments, and anytime you get to hear Coach Ferentz speak, it's real special because there's always a lesson in his message.
Hey, Ricky, let's talk about on-field memories. What are some of the things that you remember on the field, playing there at Iowa? Any special, special things?
Yeah. One of the, games that always sticks out to me is 2008 at home. We upset, I think, a number 3 ranked Penn State team. That was kind of the first year that I was a starter. I battled back and forth with Jake at the beginning of the season, and then I finally was able to get the job full time. So we were trying to figure out who we were as a team at that point. We kind of had a rocky season up and down, and then for us to upset a number 3 team at home and the fans charged the field, and it was just a surreal moment for me and for my teammates. I think that moment there kind of helped us build momentum, which led to the next season being an Orange Bowl victory for us, and we had a tremendous year that, we had a lot of tough battles that went down to the wire, and we were able to pull out some victories. So I always kind of go back to that 08 Penn State game. It's such a cool memory, very surreal moment.
Hey, Ricky, you played in the NFL for, you played a number of teams, but a lot of years. What was that like to play at the highest level in the NFL and also in the CFL?
Yeah, it was, it's, once again, use that word surreal. It's pretty cool to, have that experience and be able to say that you got that opportunity. It's something you dream about as a kid, and you work hard and you keep plugging away, and then the opportunity presents itself and you're actually there. And, the NFL was a great learning spot for me. Like I said, the struggles that I had there at the next level actually led me into the passion I have today of fixing people's movement and learning about the body. So, I'm forever grateful for everything that I've had, not only in college, but in the NFL. And some of the coolest things about playing pro ball is moving to new cities, meeting new people, going to see new places. And it's just an experience you don't get anywhere else. And the culture of the whole thing is really phenomenal.
Hey, Ricky, what do you tell parents that maybe have their kids that are considering Iowa listen to this, or talk to people that are considering Iowa, or, maybe get a call from a recruit or something, or just somebody just considering it? What do you tell them about your experience and what they'll experience in Iowa and why they should go to Iowa?
Well, all I got to say to them is just go listen to Coach Ferentz. Like you said, you talk to Coach Ferentz. I hear the same thing every time somebody has had an interaction with Coach Ferentz. They speak so highly of him. And that was the big draw for me. I loved the way that he led, the lessons that he gave us as young men. And so that was one of the things that was huge for me. I wasn't a guy who really cared about facilities or uniforms or anything like that. I just liked his style. I liked the way he did things. So Coach Ferentz was a big influence on me. And so now you got Coach Ferentz there, and you've got these beautiful facilities. Go watch a game in Kinnick, right? Turn on the TV, watch a game in Kinnick. If you get invited, go down there. You get to see that experience and how diehard the fans are. And a game at Kinnick is something else. The fans are right on top of you, let alone a night game when everything gets turned up and you got a big opponent in town. So I think Iowa is one of those places where, people outside the state may not know exactly about the culture and the history of it, but as soon as you go there, it's quite an experience. It's something else. And when I went there, I didn't even go during a football game. It was basketball season. I was still blown away by the city and by the people. So for a young recruit to go in there, to be around Coach Ferentz, be around the new facilities, see a game in Kinnick, it usually feels like a lock. It feels like a lock when I see it go down like that.
Hey, Ricky, how do people get a hold of you that maybe want to hire you for your services?
Yeah, the best way is probably Instagram, and then second being Facebook and Twitter. So those three, I'm pretty active on all of them. You can reach me on there. You can hit me up with a direct message, and I'll get back to you, and we can talk it out and see if I can help you out. Or if I can't, we got plenty of coaches in the Hive that can. So GOAT is a movement system that's comprised of a bunch of coaches that are looking to get people out of pain. We've got people all over the country, and we got some across the seas. So we're looking to help people out and give them answers for their chronic pain, no matter the age,
Ricky, thanks so much for being our first guest on the Hawkeye Show on Sports Report Radio. You've been an awesome guest. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it so much.
Thanks for having me.